included, we always take one for the team. Although we complain a lot, we end up taking one for the team. We try not to complain too much during the event and blah, blah, blah. So that's what I did this year, or last year. I did the same thing. When it was all over, I suddenly felt this immense feeling of relief, and I realized that taking one for the team did not affect, my body still told me what was happening. I was living in a police state, as our local great songwriter said one time, and I think that one of the best ways that we can approach this is to accept the fact that the material has made the best mitigation they can possibly make, and which you should totally appreciate, by moving to another agent. And I'm not saying that the agent that they had in the past should never be allowed to do this. I think there should be an open process. In the very beginning, I believe in a one-year contract, and that would be renewed every year, so we wouldn't have this complex feeling of who owns the event. That didn't happen because of politics and a lot of power that was involved. But I think that's the greatest mitigation, and I think that whatever criticisms you have of what happened, you have to admit that by moving to this mitigation, the material is going to begin solving its own problems, begin solving the problems of yours. And that problem, of course, is attendance and the fact that in our society, the wristbands become a form of wampum, and it's like, it's all over the place, and everybody's got some, and nobody knows really how much of it there is, but everybody knows that it passes for money real quick. So there's plenty of it out there. And I think that you're not going to have, you're not going to be able to have a really good control of the attendance until you bring it down to a number that's reviewable by the eye. When you get to 25,000, that's the number we're saying, you're getting to numbers that don't relate to a community. We have hundreds of people in Piercy, you know. When you put 25,000 people next door to us, and you say this is someone going to be helping us. Because one of our problems as Piercyites is that we are not in Humboldt County, and as a result, we're second-class citizens. So we've never had the kind of power with you that we would have had if we were a Humboldt neighborhood, you know. But we are the neighborhood, and what happens to us is the most important thing in the whole process, because we are the people on the ground that live in the community. We are the sovereign people that you have to respect. You're here, the government's here to make sure that we live the lives that we set out to live, and we live lives that are meaningful and are not oppressed by people's desire for money. So, capping the attendance is very good. I think your idea is tremendous, that we take the override, of whatever the override is, and subtract it from the number. And I think if you do that, you figure there's 25,000 people were there, and there were 16,000 people who were supposed to be there, 10,000 and something that paid their way in, and 6,000 that were volunteers. That means there's an overrun of 9,000. So you subtract the 9,000 from the 10,500, and you have a decent number. I suggest for the sake of Piercy, who are terrified of what's happening. We can see that Coney Island is coming. In our own community, with our own planning commissions, we saw what happened with the motorcycle event, in which they tried to make it monthly, and they would make it weekly, and the next thing you know, we'd be the motorcycle capital of the world. Well, Piercy, if you know Piercy's not set up to become Coney Island. We can't put Confusion Hill 2 there, because you look at the freeway that comes from the top of the Cloverleaf down to where the event is, there's no place to put our businesses there. And 271, there's no place there much either. We can put a few places there, we can make a few bucks somehow. But you know, Piercy is a little town of a few hundred. Our urban center burnt down, our little center. Our little post office, we have a kind of like looks something like out of, yeah, it's Tarp Enterprise. So we don't even have a building at this point. So we don't have any way to really benefit from this, so we're asked to suffer really for nothing. I think that bringing it down to something like 3,000, 4,000, with the number of volunteers being 2,000, with your eyeballs being able to understand what's happening, more than, say, when you get these huge crowds, we begin to have it. And I think that's, and I say use your own mathematics.